I wanted to come down here and talk about more things, but then I got the entire video on masculinity and femininity. It took most of the time, and I wanted to come down here and talk about some other things. So I have only about 15 minutes. I gotta get to work. Let me see what I have saved. A 19-year-old sobs after being found guilty on 4 counts of murder after killing her boyfriend and his friend by deliberately crashing a car 100 miles into a brick wall. Please, I need for y'all to teach boys and girls, okay? These weird attachment styles that these kids create, it's because of the trauma they're experiencing. The way that we attach people is how we were raised in our homes. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. Let the diva know you stopped by. I said this on, I want to read what I said. I said, this is insane. I can read, let me read you first what the girl did. A 19-year-old teen from Ohio is facing life in prison after being convicted on 4 counts of murder. Mackenzie Shrilla reportedly murdered her boyfriend and his friend by deliberately driving her car into a brick wall, and she lived. They died at the scene. Security footage reportedly captured her acting with purpose and intent by flooring her car to 100 miles per hour just moments before it hit the curb and careened into a brick wall. She was found unconscious on the scene, while Russo and Flanagan were unfortunately pronounced dead. The prosecutor at the court trial stated that Shrilla reportedly wanted to murder Russo after their months-long fling fizzled out. It is believed that Flanagan was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or as the prosecutor stated, cargo. That's so sad. You got to be careful. I tell my son, the oldest one, because he's 16 and some of his friends are driving. I said, if you're in a car with somebody, they start speeding, ask them to let you out. I will come pick you up. I don't give a fuck where you are. Okay, I will come pick you up. If they start acting erratic, right? A lot of boys, to perform masculinity, they speed. That's why your insurance rates are higher as men, because y'all like to do a lot of performative shit in traffic and can harm somebody. All right. So I tell him, if somebody's acting erratic, if somebody's in an argument and the driver is not paying attention, ask them to let you out. If you feel they're about to do something that's wrong, listen to your intuition. Say, oh, all right, y'all, I'm about to go. Can you let me out right here? I don't give a fuck where you are. Tell me, mommy, I need you to come pick me up. So-and-so was driving crazy. I had to get out of the car. Don't stay in a car with somebody acting wild or crazy, because you don't know what their intentions are. It says in the video, Nancy Russo can be heard speaking directly to Shrilla as she sobbed. She had a mission and she executed it with precision, the judge said. The decision was death. It was not reckless driving. This was murder. She morphs from a responsible driver to literally hell on wheels. Shout out to Rodney, the voice. He always says somebody is hell on wheels. As she makes her way down the street. Her family was reportedly shocked by the verdict and would like to appeal. Although THC was found in the teen's system, a DUI charge was not pursued. However, 4 counts of felonious assault and 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide were given. Her conviction carries an automatic sentence of life in prison with no opportunity for parole for 15 years. Send her ass to jail. And my comment was, insane. Please teach your children and tweens now. Like, now is the time before they start dating. And I tell my sons all the time, first of all, you don't even know who you are. You shouldn't be dating and trying to figure out how somebody else feels, trying to kind of manage someone else's feelings about whatever y'all got going on. You don't know who you are. There's no reason why you should be in a relationship with anybody in high school. It's just wild to me. I know I was, and it was weird as hell. Like, what am I doing here? I'm just doing what society says I should be doing, is trying to partner with these people instead of trying to get to know people on a platonic level and create friendships. We push these children to foster romantic, intimate partnerships at 16 and 17 and 18. Brains not even ready, can't make decisions, are impulsive, making bad decisions. 19 and 20. Teach your children and tweens you're in community with how to accept rejection. Boys and girls. Please tell them to come talk to you if they ever feel like harming someone simply for being rejected. That way they can talk through it instead of harming themselves and other people. It starts early. These weird ass attachment styles we learn from coping with trauma. She should be sobbing and she should be evaluated. Because you were rejected, you decide to take this person off of the earth. This is a girl. We normally talk about it when it's boys, but this is a girl doing it. And the girls have the weird attachment styles. They think they're supposed to, can you back up and park correctly? Damn. They think they're supposed to act crazy over boys. They think they're supposed to act like, oh my God, I'm so in love. I'm this and that. You're not in love, girl. You don't even know what that is. There's no way that you can say you love a person. You don't even know what it is. You don't even know yourself. You don't. Life in prison over dick, girl, what was you thinking? There's a lot of people in jail over some dick and pussy. They done eliminated somebody because they were rejected. It's harmful. Oops, Darius Jaxn, oh, that's his name? Keke Palmer's baby daddy has reportedly moved on from Keke Palmer. You don't have to be in the same household to be good parents. That's what a lot of men don't understand. You don't have to be in relationship with the mother in order to be present to your child. That's why the single mother thing, I reject all of that shit. They use it to, they weaponize you choosing yourself, choosing a healthy relationship, and then raising a child. They see that as like harmful. There's no man there. The man doesn't have to be with me to take care of his responsibility of the child. He doesn't. A lot of these people don't want the man in the home. The man in the home is a detriment to a lot of people. The man in the home sometimes is not emotionally available to his children. He doesn't speak to his children, doesn't connect to his children. He's only there to do what you guys have said he's supposed to do, is protect and provide. And he's not really protecting, because if you're not talking to your children, talking to them about life, teaching them anything about what's going on in the world, teaching them how to relate to other boys, teaching them how to resolve conflict, teaching them all these things, you're useless. You're so worried about the mother being single. You're so worried about the mother rejecting the man that you forget that the man has to take care of his child. That's what I said on Twitter this morning. Y'all talk about these. Y'all talk about here. Let me go to the point. I said, so aren't men with children who aren't with the mother considered single fathers? They are. They're single fathers. You want to call me a single mother? Just because you're not in the home doesn't mean you're absolved of being you're a single father too. So your absence and your lack of presence and your lack of emotional intelligence is harmful to the child in the home. So some women don't want the father in the home because it's harmful. And so they move the father out of the home. A lot of men will not take care of their children if they're not with the mother. They want to have access to you, be able to control you. Oh, you a mom. Nobody gets on him for not proposing to her and getting married to her. Nobody's on him, but now she's responsible for taking her peace and sanctuary and saying, you know what? You tried to publicly embarrass me. That's not the kind of man I want to be with. If you cross that boundary to say like what's happening in our personal relationship can be blasted to the public, and I respond to that by saying, I don't need you in my life anymore. Now it's, oh, you broke up a black family. I wasn't married to him. He's a single father. I'm a single mother. We were in a relationship. We're not anymore. So that classifies me as being single, and I'm a mother. So you are also single and you're a father. You not being connected to me has nothing to do with your relationship to the child. And that's why they blame you. Y'all cannot stigmatize being a single mother. And then you run around saying, oh, the reason why the men are the way they are is because they come from single mother homes, completely dismissing and skipping over and jumping over community, socialization, community with other men. And when boys come in contact with other men, the harmful shit that they teach them. Sitting in a barbershop alone, you can learn some harmful ways to view women, to view other men, to view LGBTQ. You learn it. After the child leaves the parental home, the influence that the parent has is not as powerful as the influence the culture has, the community has, and their socialization. It's not. So you blaming a woman. Here we are again, blaming women. You're blaming women for how the way that men turn out. Men are incarcerated. Here we go. All the smoke for the single mothers, but no smoke for single fathers. If the single mother is the cause of the effed up so-called community, what is the responsibility of the single fathers? Somebody said single fathers don't get the same smoke. In fact, they are praised for being single fathers. Anybody that is forced to take care of a child by themselves should be praised. But unfortunately, women, especially black women, are not. They get demonized. Here comes Ivan, okay, with his red pill talking points. Stats actually show children raised from a single father have a better upbringing than children raised by a single mother, when single fathers only make up 4% of the single parent-led household. 4%. So take your talking points and revise them. He didn't cite a source. He just gave me a screenshot. I told him, Ivan, you're getting an incomplete on your work today. You haven't cited your source. This is a picture. Single fathers only represent 4% of single parent homes, and the outcomes aren't favorable. They're just as bad as coming from a single parent home. Go back, show your work, Ivan. You have an incomplete for today until you can come back and cite a reputable source to back up this claim. Then, here we are.
48.4 with single mother household.
Hold, let me go to this Twitter. This guy, he does a feelings over, a facts over feelings, like how do you call it, a reel on Twitter.
To blame for it.
Listen, here, let's go back. Let's listen to him.
Single mothers are literally the worst parents on the entire planet.
Mr. Let Go.
Over 70% of young men that grow up under a single mother in particular,
listen,
end up in prison.
So everything that this man just said is a complete lie, which means it must be time for another round of these aren't facts. They're just things you made up to justify your feelings. Now, the often quoted statistic is that 70% of inmates come from single mother homes, which would represent about 840,000 of the 1.2 million people incarcerated, according to the Department of Justice in 2021. Meanwhile, 70% of the estimated 19 million children raised in single mother homes would be about 13 million. And I'm not sure how Aaron's defining young men, but even if we adjust for that, it would still be an absurdly wrong number. Okay, so Aaron misspoke, but what about that 70% statistic? That has to be correct, right? After all, it's repeated everywhere.
Women gotta hold themselves accountable because 70% of boys in jail are raised by single mothers.
Single sisters are to blame.
Accountable means that you account for your participation and you respond responsible by taking care of the child, right? I account for getting in a relationship with this musty motherfucker who showed his representative, right? He showed me who he was after the child came, or even before the child came, and you just ignored the red flags. But now the child is here. He doesn't get the attention. He rejects you, rejects his child, starts acting weird. You put him out of the home because you don't want your children to be raised in a home where the father is disrespectful to the mother. That's understandable. So you tell him to get his ass out. Once he gets his ass out, the children are out of sight, out of mind. They live their lives. They can contribute sometimes, maybe not, and they or reject them totally. Some people don't even know who their father is. They've seen him, but they don't know him. They don't know him. And then you blame women. Accountability is saying, this is what I did, and responsibility is taking care of what you created. That's it. And a lot of these men, you want the women to be held accountable for how men, when they go into society after leaving the parental home, you want to blame the mother. But you, like I said, skip over social influence and cultural influence. And peer influence. Let's not forget peer pressure. Right? And a lot of time that kind of is more important. Right, when your sons start challenging you, when this is where it comes. They're learning that from somewhere else, right? Their ideas are challenging your ideas, right? Coming with their ideas, right? So while you want to blame the single mother for how men turn out, you have to account for the men he's in community with, the culture that he's in, the community that he's in, right? And their socialization. And nobody accounts for that, because what you want to do is just blame women for all the ills. Is your mother to blame for your harmful ideologies? Is your mom to blame, Mr. Let Go, for the way that you view women? You don't like your mother. And that's some shit you need to go to therapy for real. You don't like your mother, so you don't like any woman who has a child and there's no man there. You hate her. You hate her. And you want to blame her for how her children turn out, when cultural and social influence have a hand, and peer influence have a hand in that. That's why I said when they come to you, oh, you a single girl, I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. Shut up. Because I've taken accountability and I'm being responsible for raising this child. And now you want to say when the niggas get out into the world and harm other men, women, children, LGBTQ animals, that's my fault? Get the fuck out of here. You're not going to be able to put that on me. Here it is. Single sisters are to blame for the high population of men in jail. Listen to this motherfucker.
High population of men in jail. 70% of youth in juvenile delinquent facilities come from single mother homes. 80% of the youths in prison are from single mother homes. If you compare a single mother, 80% chance of.
So what responsibility does the single father have to the children that come from single mother homes? Because they are not without their father. Now, is it the woman's fault that the man is not being responsible to his child? Is that the woman's fault?
80% of all prison inmates came from single mothers. I did the research. 80% of black males who are in jail come from single mother homes.
And we are filling up these prisons with fatherless kids.
Okay, so we're not sure if it's 70% or if it's 80%, if it represents all prisoners, just young men, or only black men. But what we do know is that prisons are full of young men from single mother homes, and the women folk are to blame for it. And this statistic has been copy-pasted across every website for fathers' rights groups and family law attorneys representing fathers. But notice that it's different. It's 70% of juveniles in state-operated institutions, not prisoners. But even that claim is wrong. It comes from this 1987 report from the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And it says
1987, almost 40 years.
Did not come from a two-parent home, which includes single mothers, but also single fathers, homes where the child was raised by other relatives, and foster homes. In fact, single parents were only 54%, and of that, 48.4% were single mother households. But it's important to remember that this is 35-year-old data about juveniles in juvenile institutions, not prisons. And they only surveyed about 10% of juveniles, so while it might be indicative, it should not be taken as a concrete fact. Now, the statistics on inmates are actually fairly easy to get, thanks again to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And in 2002, they showed that the number of offenders from single mother homes actually dropped from 41 to 39%, and went back up in 2016 to 41.1%. Meanwhile, homes with a father represented 40.7%.
And the fact that these men, these masculine men who are here to protect and provide, are actually creating chaos and confusion is not indicative of men. Men bring order. An attuned, balanced man, when he sees chaos, confusion, and conflict, his role bring order. And you actually see that in the primate species, right? You see that in them. The male will come in. If there's conflict, it's usually a male gorilla, I would say primate, that will bring order. They don't come in to create more conflict, more confusion, more division. That is not representative of masculine energy at all. When y'all want to talk about who's masculine, when you step into your masculine, you are trying to bring order to a situation. You see somebody fighting, you're not recording. You're trying to get them to stop fighting. You want to bring order. Saturn.
Of all offenders. It's almost neck and neck. So while prisons may not be overflowing with offenders from single mother households, it does represent an elevated risk about 2 to 3 times. And since your lifetime incarceration risk is about 5%, what that means is instead of 70% of children raised by single mothers going to jail, actually well over 80% will avoid ever seeing a jail. Okay, but that still means that single moms offer the worst outcomes, right? Well, studies have also looked at incarceration rates for different household types. And they did again find that 3 times risk for single mother households. And you can see that when we adjust for social, educational, and economic disparity, that risk drops to about 2 times. But before single fathers start to crow about this, look what happens when dad gets a new partner.
He's showing stats to support his claims.
The economic advantage that single fathers often have. You can see that single fathers with a new partner offer the worst outcomes, beating out single mothers with stepfathers, and even children not raised by either parent. So if we really care about childhood outcomes, we need to be teaching men not to ignore their children the minute a new woman shows up. And even if we just want to focus on improving the outcomes for single mother households, then we need to talk about what causes them, which is absentee fathers. Because absentee fathers are a huge problem. Anywhere between a fifth and a quarter of all fathers have no contact with any of their children. And this is often framed as, oh, my baby mother or my be of an ex-wife doesn't let me see the kids. But that's also not true, because when we look only at men with high levels of custody, 40%, almost half of those who start out with weekly contact, virtually abandon their children within 8 years, having little to no contact. And studies have looked into the risk factors for father abandonment. and found that once again, top of the list is fathers who have a new partner. And if they have a child with that new partner, then virtually all of them abandon their previous children. So if we really care about improving childhood outcomes, then we need to stop talking about single mothers and instead talk about the disgusting attitudes and behaviors in fathers that treat their children as disposable.
Single mothers are literally the...
So that's why don't allow anybody to weaponize you being a single person raising a child, because you have to maintain your health in order to raise a child. You have to make sure your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your financial health are in order to take care of a child. You do what you can to take care of that child. You try to instill in them good things that they can take out and remember. I was telling my son the other day, the Aquarius, we always have really deep conversations. And I told him that, yes, the label of my role in society is mom. But I told him, look at me as Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. And I'm here to give you the tools that you need so when you get out into the world, you can hear me. Remember how Luke was going through his hero's journey? And you have to make a decision. I told my son, you have to make a decision on whether you want to be light or you want to be darkness. Or you can be the gray Jedi who comes through the middle, right? But you have to remember, when you are met with something in the Dagobah system, and when you think you're fighting your father and you cut his head off, and when the face comes up, it's you having your dark night of the soul, facing your darkness. This is what I'm telling my son. And I'm using Star Wars because that is the best story of the hero's journey, right? His father, he didn't know who his father was. His aunt and uncle raising him. Then he finds out his father was this evil person. And now he has to go face his father, which is really himself, and fight that person. And you have to remember what Ben Kenobi's always whispering in Luke's ear when he comes towards something. Yeah, I've been labeled a mom, but I'm really the vessel that you came through in order for me to be your Yoda, to be your Ben Kenobi. Right? That's why I'm here. That's why I tell my sons, yeah, I have the label as mom, but my role is to make sure you have the tools and things that you need. So when I'm not there, you can survive and thrive on your own. So when I'm telling you things and repeating things to you on what to do things, I told them the other day, don't you ever get in a relationship and weaponize incompetence, because I'm going to tell her he knows how to cook, he knows how to clean, he knows how to do everything that you think you're supposed to be doing for him. He knows how to do it, so he can help you do it. And if I ever catch you weaponizing incompetence to a woman so she can do the work instead of you, I'm going to hip her to game and let her know what you've been taught. So yes, I've been given the label as mom, but I'm your Yoda, right? I always tell them, I use a video game analogy, and I use my age as the level that I'm on. You're 14 and 16. You are on level 14 and 16. I am on the level that I'm on. You would want to listen to me because I've been on level 16 and I've been on level 14 and I know what it looks like. So listen to the person who has achieved and gone up and ascended on different levels. Now, chronological age doesn't mean you have the smarts and the wherewithal to raise a child. It really doesn't. But if you are balanced and attuned to your child, you will know how to raise it and give them the tools. And all the tools that you can give them. And this is what I have to understand as I raise boys, is that when they get out into the world, they are going to come across men and boys who have been raised and socialized in a way that I did not teach them. That's why I have to counter everything that I know, because the truth is, like I told that nigga on Instagram, y'all are operating from a playbook using stats from 40 years ago to try to stigmatize people being single, for women taking their health into account, their mental wellness into account, and telling the man, get the fuck out. But me telling you to get the fuck out does not mean that you don't have any responsibility to this child. And what did this man say in the statistics? When the man brings another woman into his realm, he forgets about his other children. They buy Rolexes for their new girlfriend's children and don't offer the same to their the other children, their biological children. You out here buying a Mata La Negra. I'm talking about Safari's raggedy, musty, dusty ass. He buys a Mata La Negra, her children, Rolexes. And then when Scrappy and Jock bring it up to him, he says, don't forget, I'm single. That doesn't have anything to do with you being a father. You're single because you don't have a woman next to you. That doesn't negate you being a father, you asshole. And you see how they correlate. If I'm not with the woman, the children are no longer mine. So you got to go. You cannot be around these children if you think that as soon as you get in contact with another woman, that the children, out of sight, out of mind, they don't give a fuck. And if you are a woman who walk into a relationship and a man has children, ask him, how often do you see your children? Ask to talk to the mother of the child and ask, what is his role in the child's life? Don't allow a man to pit you against a woman that he has children with. Do not allow him to do that. Like Erica Banks and Rennie Rucci. Instead of calling Rennie Rucci and asking her, what is your relationship with this man? You take the man's word for it. And then you are in conflict with the woman because of what a man tells you, even though you have access to the woman to ask questions. What's your relationship with this man? Right? So when you are in a relationship with a man who has children, if he doesn't lie and say he doesn't have children, there's a lot of niggas out here who will lie and say they don't have children. Find out from the, can I talk, you mind if I call her? Right? You need to protect yourself, especially if you're in a relationship and you plan on having children. Does he take care of his other children? Is he not only monetarily, but is he emotionally connected to his children? And I don't say if a man tells you he doesn't want to talk, he doesn't want you to talk to the children, to the mother of his children, red flag. Red flag. If you start believing all the dumb shit he says about the mother of his children, red flag. If they talk grimy about the mother of their children, red flag. They're trying to get you to create your ideas so that you don't actually say, hey, can I talk to her? Because I just want to see like your relationship. If they resist that, that's a red flag. Okay? Stop listening to these niggas who tell you these statistics and try to shame you for taking your health, your mental health and wellness into account. Your financial wellness, all the wellnesses that you can come up with. Emotional, mental, spiritual, financial. All the wellnesses, okay, girl? And that's all I have to say about that. I get stuck on a topic and I have to get my talking points out and it kind of... This is a Medium article. Literally anyone can upload an article to Medium. This is not a news source or an organization that runs statistics. But the article says that they did studies. Statistically, children raised from a single father have a better upbringing than the children of a single mother. This is Ivan coming back, and he's going to reject the information that you gave him, showing you are going off of a 40-year-old statistic that isn't even accurate because it's talking about children in juvenile facilities. And you're using it and saying that it's men in prisons. And you're using that to villainize and stigmatize somebody being a single woman raising a child. A single woman raising a child. And you know it's even fucked up because a single woman raising a child is a villain. She's tainted. She's come in contact with the man, had a baby, and doesn't want to be next to the man anymore. And so she's now the enemy of the community because she doesn't want a man around her. But that doesn't negate the man's involvement with the children. Y'all give, it's too much. It says, an article written by someone whose credentials you don't know, who uploaded it to a website that everybody can use, like I said, is not a credible source. And he is going to actively, with full awareness and consciousness, reject the information that I sent him, which was this man talking about how your statistics that you're using is wrong. You giving me a source from the Medium, come with me from a .gov or a .org. Don't come with me with a .com telling me, oh, this is it. If you're going to give me a source or cite a source about fathers having successful outcomes, single fathers, I need an org or gov. I don't want to hear nothing else about it. Girl, a mess. Okay, what else is on Instagram? Or we'll do one more story. Duh, baby. A 65-year-old is suing the rapper for physically attacking him over a video shoot. Motions court judge not to delay the case any further. Rap star, the degenerate, violent, short man Napoleon complex syndrome may find himself in a court again soon despite his attempt to delay the case. According to Radar Online, the homeowner who was allegedly assaulted by the musician is fighting not to have the trial pushed back any further. As we reported back in November last year, the baby, 31 years old, was sued for assault by a then 64 man named Gary Pager. In the suit filed in 2021, the man claimed he was harassed and physically hit after confronting the Ohio native for breaking his policy after temporarily renting his home to the rapper. I remember that. When the baby was served the legal papers over, however, the Suge artist was reportedly granted a continuance, arguing that a felony criminal case he's part of could compromise if he's responded to the homeowner's lawsuit. The case was reportedly not moved forward since. The baby doesn't want to admit declaration that he assaulted and battered Pager because it would incriminate him in a parallel criminal case arising. He has a pattern of behavior. He is another menace to society that needs to be taken off the street because you don't know how to handle your emotions. And anybody who challenges you, you think they're challenging you because you're short. And so you assault them as a response. Let me read some of the comments. Another menace to society. His little leprechaun-built ass needs to be in a cell right next to Tory Lanez. I can't stand these degenerates. That was my comment. He's going to end up like Tory if he keeps putting hands on people. He clearly wants to check. Don't believe the hype. This is a person with a woman's image on her profile picture. Little men, little temper. That's why I don't date short men. I don't care. I remember when this happened. There's actually video of this. He had pretty much had his crew beat up an older guy because the older guy told him not to throw a party. He had a video shoot at a rental property and broke the rules. The guy confronted him asking to leave and boom, chaos ensued. Maybe, baby, he better get that CDL and call it a day. Music ain't for him. This man needs to keep his hands to himself. Pending legal case, a civil suit has to wait. He knows that. This guy is the epitome of grand opening, grand closing. Get your money because he and his crew are wild. No reason to violate that man. Hold people accountable. Responsible. He's going to jail for beating old folks. His baby mama going to jail for DUI. Do they think about the baby at all? I can't stand this man. I went from being a fan to being disgusted. That should be the path. Any person with a woman profile picture and you standing up for the baby, do you know he will beat your ass too? He will beat your ass, girl. While you over here sticking for these niggas you don't have no clue. Oh, black men, dear black men, we love you. Don't know these niggas. Stop making these public proclamations that you love these niggas and they will beat your ass too. Y'all get on my nerves with that shit. Bruh, who attacks an elderly person? That's lame. Person like, no girl. He needs to be Tory's new cellmate. They're both sick in the head. He will get away with this. He always does. He's been putting his hands on people for years and always gets away with it. Put him in jail for 6 months. That will calm his ass down. Sue his ass. I've been waiting a long time for this. I'm gay and I don't give a fuck about what he said. I don't like that this elderly man was assaulted and jumped on at his own home. Pussy that. Please, what? Pass that man his money. Still being a creep, I see. Yeah, these men are ridiculous. Send his ass to jail. You going to jail, nigga. You going to jail. Derick Jaxn. Let's hear what his musty, big-ass hands have to say.
In intimacy. And so how I would express my affection oftentimes was aggressive. Like, I want to pick her up. Yeah. I don't just kiss her. I pin her up against the wall, put my hand around. I'm not trying to get graphic. Yeah. There's context here. So, come up behind her and hug on her, kind of aggressive. But that would make her really, really shut down. I ain't never been so sensitive to rejection because we all get rejected, but this is the first time I felt that. And what felt safer was to go out and at least have friendships with other girls. Just a conversation.
Derick Jaxn said that he expresses his intimacy in an aggressive way. The only way he knows how to be intimate is to be aggressive. Do you hear this shit? And because she rejected him, because she has her own SA issues that she was dealing with, right? She was assaulted. And while you want to grab her and put your hand around her neck and give her a kiss, and that, it doesn't work for her. And if you would communicate with your fucking wives, you would know what their triggers are, and you would know, and hopefully you take accountability and respond by being more gentler to her.
Felt like
so because his wife rejected his aggressive ways to approach intimacy, then he goes out and cheats on her. Listen.
It's like acceptance again. But those loose boundaries turn into no boundaries. So, if we continued to clash and she continued to pull away or what have you, and I'm not getting no answers or whatever, especially in my prideful state, I'm thinking, man, she got me effed up. So I'm over here doing the right thing, and she over here
And instead of communicating with her and saying, hey, listen, I feel rejected when I try to kiss you. And then she could say, hey, when you grab me around the neck, it reminds me of the time that I was assaulted. And I don't respond well to that. I'm going to shut down. My pussy is going to dry up and close up on itself because I don't respond well to that. But instead of communicating, you go out and find someone else to affirm you. And then she's just as crazy because you sitting there watching him cheat on you, going through his phones, probably through the cloud, through your computer, and seeing all the ways that he treats these other women, and then acting like you're in competition with these women. She's still acting like that, y'all. She's still acting like that. She's building her whole little brand on kind of getting back at these women. It's weird. She's weird. He's weird. People that should probably not have been married at all.
And like, I ain't nothing. So now there's a party tonight, or there's a girl on campus, and then she got her own dorm room. And that's whenever I started messing around.
Which is interesting. Now I realize something. You were trying to be on the straight and narrow in that aggressive personality that you had, because she told me, or told us on the podcast, that she had experienced a rape 2 weeks before y'all met.
Everything that happened that was really painful was really one long repetitive pattern.
Right.
Me feeling rejected for this, that, and the other, and she handles, becoming okay again a certain way. But I didn't know certain forms of affection that were natural to me just felt scary to her.
That's not natural.
In a space where certain things that happen. So yeah.
And that's
intimacy and aggression are not. That's not a natural way to be intimate. That's not. Intimacy. Like, look at the definition of intimacy. That's not, aggression is nowhere in there. So you aligning aggression with intimacy, that's some weird ass shit, bro. You would do great in jail. You would do great in jail. Because a lot of men who watch porn, right? Raised on porn, right? They see how the men and the women act in the porns, and they want to bring that into reality. And a lot of that is aggressive. Banging you, busting you open, smashing you, drilling you. All of these acts of aggression that you align with sexual contact and intimacy is wrong. It's out of balance. There's a time and a place for that. If it's your BDSM kink, that's fine. But normally, between a man and a woman, the intimacy, you have to approach her not with aggression. Not with aggression. Especially if she's a victim and survivor of SA. But you wouldn't know that because you think the way that you show up is right. And you don't even take the other person into account. This other person has a whole backstory. Before they met you, they have a whole backstory on themselves, and things that they've experienced. And that comes up in the way that they show up in the relationship. And if you don't talk to the person, you're not going to know. But you don't, instead of talking, you go out and find someone who will affirm you.
That's so interesting. It's like, I'm getting understanding. It's like you have this woman who has experienced this huge violation of her body, her soul, her spirit, this brokenness. She meets this guy who she says she just loved the mess. She loved your dirty draws. You're wanting to show your affection. You grabbing her by her neck. You being aggressive physically. From a sexual standpoint, she's getting nervous. She's getting triggered on all levels. Don't even realize that she's being triggered like this. She's closing up rejection to you because you've experienced that growing up. Mom no longer is kissing you and tucking you to bed at night. Rejection. So now you're like, well, now I'm going to go self-medicate. I have this history of looking at porn, and now the way
I've never watched this clip.
is watching this. So now I'm going to do the outward extension of that. Now I'm over here hanging out with girls. One thing leads to another. Now you're over here smashing. Now it's triggering her once. How did she ever find out when you first cheated on her?
Aggressive energy towards a woman, except in intimacy. And so
instead of talking to his wife, he goes out. Here he is. His pinned comment says, when a woman tells you her why behind her toxic behavior, she's sharing her truth. When a man tells you his why behind he's avoiding accountability. Girl. If gaslighting and still trying to save my brand was a person, all he had to say was, I'm human, I messed up, making excuses. No, I think it's him explaining that, like saying, I wanted to approach intimacy with aggression because that's what I learned from watching porn. I want to smash this woman. I want to bust her open. I want to drill her. I want to knock her down. I want to do all these violent things that's not what women want. Unless, like I said, unless they have a kink there. And sometimes a lot of these kinks come from, they have a deeper story, right? They have a deeper story. I don't think he's making an excuse. I think for him saying, I felt rejected. And so instead of talking to my wife about it, I went out and found other women to affirm me in my aggressive path to intimacy. If she's pulling away, it's for a reason. As a man, it's up to you to find out the root problem and resolve it. Intercourse doesn't solve problems. It just delays them. And so many boys to men are socialized to say your manhood is in direct alignment with how many women you knock down. And that's why I have to tell my sons, you're going to hear it because y'all not operating from a new playbook. You're operating from old programming, outdated programming, and sharing with these boys that the more women they have sex with is a testament to their manhood. And all you're doing is showing them how to disrespect and violate their own bodies by not having emotional connections to the people they're having sex with. They're just using you as a tool to masturbate. That's it. You're a fleshlight. You are a mattress with a hole in it. They're just laying on top of you, going to town, smashing you, knocking you down, fucking you. I said this was going to be 15 minutes. Okay, I got to go. Lady, take note of this narcissism. There is not a shred of accountability in any of what he said. It's literally all her fault in his mind. I feel like he's accounting for his behavior, but how he responded was irresponsible. I think a lot of people need to get in to relearn the definitions of accountability and responsibility. You're asking somebody to be accountable as they sit there and talk about what they're accounting for their behavior. Now, how did you respond? He responded irresponsibly, right? His response to being accountable was to go out and fuck other women instead of talking to his wife about it. And her retarded ass was out here recording him, looking at him while he slept with women and then trying to be those other women instead of actually, and because she has a severe case of pick-me-ism, that she goes out and wants to be like those women instead of saying, you know what, I don't deserve to be treated like this. Her only idea was to hold on to this man that all the women want. And because I have this man that all the women want, that makes me look good in the community. But he's actually harming you, putting your life at risk, fucking other women, putting your entire life at risk. 90% of the new cases of HIV come from 91% of black women. New cases of HIV come from heterosexual relationships. So whoever these men are having sex with, they're putting your life at risk. They're engaging in risky behavior, and you just want to keep the man, so you are willing to put your life at risk for this man instead of leaving the relationship. Because you center men, and they're the most important thing for you to be connected to. Because in some communities, you get validation from being connected to these men, no matter how harmful they are to you. I want y'all to get the dicks off your altars, okay? Get the dicks off your altars. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Put yourself first. Center yourself first. If you are in a relationship that is no longer mutually beneficial, you need to reevaluate that relationship and then make a decision and be responsible, right? Account for what you're going through and then be responsible and respond accordingly. And hopefully you respond and save your life and get out while you can. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Peace.